What's up guys, this is your head coach Kuya for Smash Ultimate, and for today's class, I'm going to teach you how to beat Inkling and Megaman. This will be a general guide on how to beat common pain point characters, starting with Splatoon's Inkling, and then we'll go to Megaman's Megaman. If you want to see tips against a certain character, please let me know in the comments below. And I added this little part here. If I see repeat characters in the comments, so I see multiple people asking for one character, that character has a higher likelihood of being covered. So please let me know in the comments so I know what class or which character I should cover for next class. We're gonna go over a quick preface. We're gonna go over Inkling strengths first, and then tips against Inkling. Then we'll do Mega Man strengths and tips against Mega Man. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. These are also live Discord classes, so you could join us in the Discord. So you could ask me right after today's class. So first, our preface. My author's note about annoying. When talking about annoying characters, please turn your negative emotions about something into an opportunity to learn and grow in the game. Struggling in a matchup means it's a level up time. So if you're having a hard time against Inkling or Mega Man, please don't be too mad at the game, but rather convert that energy into something more productive to learn, like, how can I do better against this character. Additionally, someone in the world is going to find your main character annoying no matter what. So it's important to just focus on improving yourself. Don't worry about what others think or say about your character, and just continue playing Smash. Right. First off, we're going to go over Inkling's strengths. She has the best dash dancing in the game. As seen here, she turns it into a squid, which makes her low profile underneath a lot of things. And in this example, if you time your dash just right, you're able to dash underneath King K. Rool's neutral B without getting hurt, and you're still mobile. So really good mobility option on the ground. She has amazing auto-cancelable aerials, so her frame 6 nair is -2 on shield, which is pretty gross. She has a long-lasting forward air for consistent edge guarding. Her back air, when she uses her blaster, is very disjointed, has really good range, and it's also -2 or -3 on shield, depending on which hitbox you hit with. And she has an up air KO confirm called Boo-Yah, resembling what noise they make in the game. And we'll go over that later, but it's basically up throw, up air. And another strength that Inkling has is her unique ink mechanic. So a lot of her moves have a paint aspect to it. If you paint your opponent, the opponent actually takes more damage from you with a max multiplier of 1.5. So if you are playing against an Inkling and they fully paint you and you're covered in whatever color they are, so like for this example, it's orange. If King K. Rool was painted fully orange, you're taking a damage amplifier of 1.5. So a very cool, interesting mechanic unique to her that was introduced in Smash Ultimate. The first tip that I have against Inkling is to time your edge guarding. So Inkling does make a lot of great vertical distance with up B, and up B has an active hitbox at the start, so frame 12. And then there's a hitbox on the actual like ink stream when they do up B, and there's a landing splash hitbox, which means like if they do up B and they crash onto the stage, there's actually a hitbox around them. However, the squid head, so like Inkling turns into a squid when they do up B, the squid head itself does not have a hitbox as they ascend. So that's the timing that I'm talking about. So predict when they're going to do their low recovery and position yourself in a way to hit them after the initial hitboxes for a free edgeguard. So this primarily means that when you're positioning for an edgeguard against Inkling, you kind of want to be directly above them, assuming that they're not going to like swat you out with like an up air. So it's a lot easier to time like a spike hitbox here. Um, it is kind of hard to edgeguard Inkling just because they have their side B. They could jump out of side B, and they could go pretty deep for up B. But if you figure out the timing, you don't even have to go for a spike, but you could also do like a long lasting nair that kind of knocks them further away. It's hard, but it is definitely like a weird weak spot of Inkling if you're able to time your edge guard perfectly. to counter their up B. Okay, the second tip that I have against Inkling, tip number 2 is to know your Boo-Yah window, or tip number 2 is to know when your percentage is in Boo-Yah range, so you know how to play around it. So Boo-Yah is again the up throw up air. But the confirm for this combo is a pretty tight range. So understanding when your character actually gets KO'd for this combo is really important. So let's say I'm a Mario main and I'm playing against Inkling. I need to remember that the range is generally 114 to 122 for the Boo-Yah range. So once I'm in this range, I need to know like, okay, up throw can lead into a guaranteed KO. So I need to really avoid grabs during this time. And the reason why it's important to learn this is for 2 reasons. One, it's easier to know when to avoid grabs if you are in the Boo-Yah range. So if the Inkling knows about this combo, they're probably going to be going for um, grabs if you're in this general range. So if you know that your opponent wants to go for grabs, you could play a lot around that. So you'd be more vertical, you'd be jumping more, you'd be dodging more, just putting out more walling hitboxes, and just playing around the idea of like, I will not get grabbed by this Inkling. The second reason is it forces the Inkling to KU with more difficult options, nullifying the Boo-Yah confirm. So let's say the Inkling learns that you're really good at avoiding grabs. You're forcing the Inkling to then think about new ways to KO you, and it's limiting their options. And this is just a great golden rule of thumb. The less options you have, the worse it is for you, and vice versa, where like the more options you have, the better it is for you. And that's for a lot of different games. But in Smash, if you are limiting your opponent's options where like you can't grab me anymore, you have to KO me with something else, that's a really great start to like understanding the matchup. And tip number 3 is the DI up to avoid tech chases. So Inklings love to use nairs and back airs to set up tech chase situations, then following up with a roller. So because you are forced on the ground, roller does set up into a guaranteed berry, into an up smash, which KO'd this Rob around 90%. To avoid this, if you want to not get put in any tech situations, you want to DI up, which allows you to break out a tumble faster with a double jump or a quick action. If you don't know what DI is, it's basically when you get hit while you're in hit stun, you get input a direction to kind of influence where you're getting knocked back to. So if you DI up, you're basically telling your character to fly a little bit more upwards. And what that does, it makes more distance between you and the ground, which means you don't have to do a tech chase situation or you won't get grounded, which is what we're initially trying to avoid. Roller is the main thing that we're worried about here just because it covers successful techs really well with a berry. So in this example, this Rob successfully techs it, but then techs rolls to the left and still gets hit by berry anyways. And if you miss a tech, the roller will pop you upwards and you could follow up with an up air, which is another like way for Inkling to confirm a kill. So just being able to avoid tech situations in general further limits Inkling's options, making them try to KO you with other means, which is probably going to be like an edge guard or kind of like a hard read smash tech. And if you're able to do that and force the Inkling to play or force the Inkling into more niche ways to set up KOs, that's really good for you. All right, Mega Man time. So Mega Man strengths. He's one of the most unique zoners in the game. I think it's really cool. It's just a whole plethora of projectiles and can effectively wall you out with well-placed shots, depending on which one's which. He also has surprisingly pretty good aerials, so a quick frame 4 bear and a frame 9 fair. They're both pretty disjointed. They're great to clean up stocks when you're at high percents, and they're also good to wall out opponents because of their range to when they get past your initial projectiles. So Mega Man's game plan could look like long range distancing with projectiles or smash attacks and everything. Once the opponent finally gets in close after taking a lot of chip damage, you knock them away again with an aerial and you rinse and repeat. And that seems like a pretty solid like a basic strategy for Mega Man. And in general, he is just like a mid-range monster with lemons alone. When I say lemons, I'm talking about his jabs, the little pellets. Those pellets can really just shut down approaches if they're really disciplined with the lemons. It's a really great option for Mega Man to kind of just check you in certain spots and make sure that you don't get in, and make sure that you're shielding or whatnot. And they just really test you as a player. Like if you're going against lemons, you have to figure out a way to work around them. And that's why I'm here to talk about it. The first tip that I have against Mega Man is actually a projectile grab bag. If you're watching the shorts version, I recommend going to the actual live video for this one or the long form video to see what all these tips are. Because I don't think I cover all of this in the shorts. But basically, just understanding little things about Mega Man helps you play against him. So I didn't really know how to do this in one tip, so it's more like a grab bag. So first, just to feel like playing against Mega Man is more feasible, he could shoot up to 3 lemons max before having a cooldown. And also Nair has this additional like cannon hitbox that can push people away. Some people think that it's just Mega Man's whole body that has the Nair hitbox, but it's actually just like in front of him where the cannon is. So just keep that in mind. After Mega Man shoots 3 lemons, he has to take a break. He can still move and stuff, but he can't throw out any attacks after the third lemon. So maybe after the third lemon, that's when you close the gap a bit more. Side B counts as a sticky bomb. So if they land sticky bomb on you or side B, it's fine. You can kind of just touch Mega Man and the sticky bomb will transfer onto him. And you can just shield it after a while. It's up to you. And another cool thing about side B is that if Mega Man shoots the side B on the side of the stage, it'll explode on contact. It's not, well, it'll explode over a certain amount of time, but it also will explode on contact if you touch it, if it's like hanging on the side. So just be careful of that. When Mega Man does his leaf shield, so when the leaves swirling around him, he can move and jump during it, but he has to throw it after a duration of time, and he has some end lag after throwing it. So that move isn't like impossible to beat. You just have to be a little patient for that part. Try not to contest the leaves too much unless you have a pretty good disjointed attack that goes past the leaves to hit Mega Man. But for the most part, because I play more like brawler characters like Yoshi, I would just wait, let them throw it, and then punish right after. And the last projectile grab bag tip that I have is do not jump while getting hit by up air, the tornado, and just move to the side instead. If you jump, you're helping the wind box of that move push you up, but also because you're getting hit, if you're too high up, you might just blow up from the blast zone because you're all the way up there. So do not jump while getting hit by that thing. Ooh, tip number 2 is limited compass projectiles. So what makes Mega Man so unique is that his projectiles will always fly in the one of 8 compass directions, so north, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. We can use this to our advantage by approaching from very distinct angles to avoid the majority of Mega Man's pressure. I drew these red arrows here, so like try to approach a bit more from like the 30-degree angle or the 60-degree angle. And what this does is it forces the Mega Man to adjust to you. And there will become a time in a match where the Mega Man doesn't adjust properly, and you kind of get in and start your combos or start your juggles, get a grab combo going, and it kind of helps you circumvent against Mega Man's main type of pressure. Um, Additionally, the only projectiles that cover like jump in approaches is this like diagonal up Sawblade, or if the Mega Man jumps up with you and shoots lemons, which isn't that much to be honest. Like you might get hit for 6% at worst, or they might go for like a fair or back air. And once they start doing that, that means that Mega Man has to like they're respecting your approach and they're trying to contest you for jumping. Once that starts happening, you're basically you're getting rid of Mega Man's main pressure tool, which is all of these projectiles like on a horizontal plane. and forcing him to play more diagonally makes it a lot easier to play against him. In my opinion, some people might have a hard time, but for my experience, that's kind of like how I approach the Mega Man. Is like, do not play his game of like staying in these compass ranges, and try to play or like in between the angles. And the last tip I have is to catch the Sawblade. So Mega Man can only have one Sawblade on the field at a time. If you manage to catch and hold the Sawblade, you make Mega Man's neutral B do nothing. So if the Sawblade is on the battlefield, he can't throw a second one. And if you are holding it, Mega Man can't do anything with it. You could test this out in training mode right now. I forgot to add it in the slides. But go to training mode, pick Mega Man as a computer, set him to neutral special, and what I want you to do is to practice air dodging through the Sawblade or air dodge right before getting hit by the Sawblade to just pick it up well in the air. And it has to be an air dodge, like a neutral air dodge or a directional air dodge. Has to be an air dodge, and you'll just instantly catch it. The timing's pretty easy, but sometimes the Mega Man will just throw the Sawblade on the ground for you, which will be easier to pick up. You want to think of the Sawblade as kind of like a capture the flag moment. Yeah, where you want to keep the Sawblade away from Mega Man in order to limit his options. And as we said before, if you could limit their options, you're probably in a good spot anyways. So keeping it away from them so they can't use it is great. Just, reducing things that you should be scared of. And another cool thing about Sawblade is you could use it for your own custom combos as well. So I was playing against this Mega Man recently. I have a Sawblade. I surprised him by just chucking the Sawblade at him because, why does Yoshi have a projectile like that? And it's pretty easy to follow up after because it's kind of a multi-hit. So this combo felt pretty natural to me. So you do a lot with it. But yeah, that's the last tip for Mega Man. And that is all for today's class. Thank you all for watching and listening. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.